for alternate. But they've got really good bully potential. If Quinn gets a couple of good marks from her passive, she will just run over your lane. Yeah. She will destroy you. The bonus damage of that is so high. If she gets a couple of lucky triggers, you're pretty much done for. And her trade potential is so high, she can land the vault, which automatically triggers another passive proc, will keep putting your health there. And then, if she snowballs ahead, she becomes an assassin. Quinn will ruin your day in the mid game, roam around, chunk people out, and win team fights. And then you have Kennen follow up. This is a very good team here for SK.
Well, it looks like Meteor Maker's going to finish off their lineup here with a Volley Bear for the jungle, plus the Nami support for Charu's Vayne. Sorry, for Michael's Vayne. Yeah,
so I like this as well. So you've got more hard engage. You don't, like, Volibear is hard to start team fights with, but he can follow up really, really well, and they've already got Orianna and Lissandra to do that. Also, any lane that Volibear ganks has some crowd control to help. You've got Nami with the knockup with the bubble. You've got Orianna with Dissonance or post 6. She has the shockwave as well. He can gank for Lissandra as well. She has good follow-up. So Volibear has a lot of easy ganks here in front of him, and that's very good. He can follow up on the initiation, as can the Nami as well. And then you talk about Vayne and Nami as a duo lane, and they can bully a 2v1 very, very well, and they have just enough sustain, I would say, to even survive against Thresh Quinn. I think it'll hold up.
Well, we're going to find out here where Quinn is going to be in this whole setup here for SK Gaming. Certainly a bit different to what we've seen them running here before. And then we see a Xerath coming out, which tells us that it will be a Thresh Quinn lane with that Kennen in the top lane by all counts.
So this is interesting because there's enough hard engage for Meteor Makers to deal with Xerath. Xerath is strongest when you can't get to him and he just sieges you forever and you just cry a whole heck of a lot. And this basically hedges SK's bets on initiation. They don't have a guy like Lissandra or Jarvan who just starts a fight. Instead, they're going to do a lot of damage from afar. If you get into SK, they've got Kennen, they've got Quinn, they've got Thresh, and you're already weakened from the Xerath pickup. And so Mim's health bars are going to be pretty low. They don't have a lot of sustain in general. They're going to rely on the Orianna ball to sort of hold on against the Xerath barrage and then hope that works out. Now, if SK does get some good things going on early on, then they have good follow-up, though. Kennen, Udyr, Quinn as well, they can all dive in and follow through. So if Ocelot ganks off to the side or something like that, they can all show up and make life miserable.
Well, we've got the picks in for this one, and Meteor Makers against SK Gaming. We said it before, you know, last time they met was the kind of crazy one. We saw the Rengar and Skarner come out, and again, different picks here for SK Gaming. You know, the Xerath, the Quinn. Kevin obviously has started to play more fighty champions in that top lane as of late as well. So, you know, they've obviously done a lot of tricks. You don't bust out a Xerath and a Quinn that they've never seen before for SK without doing a lot of practice with a lineup like this.
And you've got to think that surprised Meteor Makers here, because the way these teams will practice new compositions is they will do them in secret. They'll play it against other LCS teams because they need to get good practice, but they'll be aware of which teams they practiced which compositions against, and they would have certainly made sure they did not show the Xerath or the Quinn to Meteor Makers very much. Part of the value of this is the surprise pick, and you kind of think back to the bans, right? They banned away two of the common picks, the Ahri, who can assassinate Xerath, the Twisted Fate, who can ruin the whole Xerath long-range positioning, saying, okay, that's fine, we're going to give you the Orianna, we know you're going to first pick it, and SK kind of played them in that setup here. So we're here in the battle for sort of the bottom of the standings right here. Meteor Makers in the blue, SK in the red. It's going to be a very, very close match here, and it's really a game of different sort of styles here. Long-range poke and follow-up here for SK Gaming versus hardcore initiation for Meteor Makers, who are going to want to sort of ruin the Xerath positioning, the long-range Xerath who sieges.
So we're going to be getting into game here in just a second. You see there, SK definitely the favourites here when it comes to the crowd. There's no doubt about that one. As I said, Ocelot was warming the crowd up himself a little bit earlier on before they actually got fully set up here and ready to go. And we are going to be getting into game. So it is Meteor Makers versus SK. Meteor Makers, of course, on the blue side. Let's first of all touch on level 1 and what we may or may not see here, Freak.
So you look at the sort of setups here, and you have decent level 1 for Meteor Makers, because if they land the Orianna bubble, life is difficult. However, Hercubot doesn't want to start Bear Stance. There's no easy crowd control for SK, really, because Hercubot's going to want to start Tiger with Phoenix, right? He's going to want to be a damage threat in the actual jungle itself. So SK can get some early wards down, and they can kind of rely on Nif's Q, but they don't really want to fight here, I don't think.
So look at this, an early ward was put down there from Meteor Makers, and SK respond with a pink coming straight out from now on, so they're going to clear out the vision that MYM have over their own red buff. We've just seen there Libic warding the SK red as well, so we'll see if this actually ends up being anything. MYM all recalling from that one. SK slowly but surely working their way through the buses, just checking with the death sentence, with Ocelot as well. And they've got now good vision on this bottom side of the map, but the fact that they don't really know where MYM are may even scare them off somewhat.
But they've given themselves complete ward control over this side of the jungle. They're actually looking to do something a little bit cheeky here and try to get some early level 1 advantage off of their champions here. There's zero vision for Meteor Makers. They've already recalled the cannon back, but Meteor Makers have to be very careful. That ward's going to get spotted by the pink ward, and SK could clear that out and still get control over the red buff.
Well, MYM are walking in here. Let's see what's going to happen with this one. Red buff has now spawned. 4 men there for SK. They're going to be spotted by the ward as the flash comes in. Death sentence actually missing there. They're going to keep focusing in on towards that red. It's not quite smiteable right now as Hercubot does get locked up there in the bubble. SK trying to get in there as we see the vault going down onto Makata. He flashes away with less than half health remaining. Ocelot actually picked up the red in all that chaos.
Yeah, so they pulled the red buff into the brush, which prevented any smite from Makata at all. Now, unfortunately, Hercubot smited a little bit early, so Ocelot got the last hit there, but honestly, red buff Xerath will do pretty well against Orianna 1v1. Yeah. Hercubot's still going to get level 2 off of this camp.
Now, he is indeed on the other side. We saw that the slow start on that blue for Makata. Obviously, he had to back away from that red with not much health remaining, so he's probably going to be decently low from that. Of course, he has his passive to really help him out in that front as Candy Panda there just putting a bit of damage down onto Libic. So while we've got a bit of quiet now, let's break down these lanes, starting in this bottom side. You can see there the stats for Libic on Nami. 2 times he's played him and 2 wins. Good statistic there, but how does it work out against Quinn and Thresh?
So this lane is going to be very, very snowbally. Both of them have the potential to chase people down and repeatedly crowd control them. Candy Panda has the blind and the vault, and he can start up a trade really strong. And someone like Vayne relies so heavily on auto attacks that getting blinded really ruins her trade potential. So as long as Nami doesn't land something good there, you're going to see this kind of setup is going to happen over and over again.
Candy Panda going pretty deep into that one. Needs to be careful. Those silver bolts actually didn't get the proc there of that final one, but we can see that well, there is an opportunity here, and basically it's going to be about bubbles and hooks this lane as Makler goes in on towards Candy Panda there and almost able to pick something up from that one, but it's a case of getting him out of the lane here and getting that advantage by forcing Candy Panda completely out.
And that actually happened because of the level 1 antics. Makler and Libic didn't take much damage at level 1, however the bubble lands on a Nif.
Is he going to be able to get away from this one? Gets condemned against the turret. The 3rd silver bolt comes in and he just leaves both of them very, very low here with a bit of danger on their hands. Hercubot is nowhere near to protect this bottom lane as Candy Panda gets another hit. There's a death sentence onto Libic. He has to flash away as he's pulled into turret range. But still, no first blood, but my gosh, it's close down there.
Their health bars are so incredibly low. Hercubot also looking for a bit of counter jungling soon. So again, the level 1, what happened is Candy Panda had to sit there 1v2 on the lane, and Nami Vayne can really chase you down and do a lot of damage. So Candy Panda for the first wave or 2 was stuck there 1v2 and actually lost half his health bar. He'd otherwise be fine. And they go in on Charu.
Oh, flash in there. Charu, you're going to take a lot of damage. Has Xerath got the damage to finish off though? Needs one more. Hercubot actually backing away there, and they don't quite manage to pick up the kill. And you have to wonder, Ocelot, he took barrier flash in this one. If that would have been ignite flash, that was first blood SK.
And you so rarely get to be that offensive as Xerath, but he found the opening to go in on that one. I like the idea of going barrier. He generally speaking would get jumped on and wants the health. He's a long range mage. He's usually not in range of ignite, but it's just unfortunate. He picked the defensive summoner, didn't work out for him in the end, but it has pushed him out of lane. It will give Ocelot a pretty big minion kill lead.
Well, he also knows that Charu's never going to have ignite, so I suppose that's one way to look at it as well. And there we see the Quinn statistic, and indeed first time picked in the AD carry role. The times we've seen him before was in the top lane and in the middle lane.
Yeah, okay, so here we go. We're going to see how this one pans out. Of course, the early lane didn't go so well. You saw a 9 minion kill deficit here for Candy Panda. And now with Makler getting back to lane with the Vampiric Scepter, it's going to be very hard for SK to push Makler out of lane. I think they picked Quinn to try to deal with him early on and win early trades and deny minion kills. That will no longer happen here. Meteor Makers will have a very good bottom lane, I expect.
I see the Sandra underneath the turret. Kevin pushing those waves deep in just to see if he can throw Kubon off a little bit with that one. He started with that crystalline flask and he's now going to be headed home for his first buy-up. So we'll keep an eye on what Kubon decides to pick up from that one. And it's going to be 2 Doran's Blades plus the Boots of Speed.
Alrighty, so it's interesting. Early pressure here. Look at that. Look at the damage he can do on the Mockler, but you'll see that get pretty much sustained back up. 20 health per attack right now is what Mockler's getting from his Vampiric Scepter, so I feel like he's going to be able to survive this one. The early ability power, though, on Kubon, I like. It basically allows you to not have to buy a bunch of mana regen. You don't have to go Chalice, you don't have to go Tier, but you can work towards like a Zhonya's Hourglass or even a Death Cap or something and have enough mana regen to lane with spells really well.
Pushing this on right up there. Makler just trying to get those last hits in. Obviously, he has fell slightly behind, but he'll probably even have a lead by the time this next wave has been dealt with there underneath the turret. There's a ward over the wall from Libic, and that just shows you the pressure there. Didn't even want to go close to that Tribush just in case that Udyr was waiting to come out and get the stun on him.
And actually, neither support has any wards now, so neither one can check the brush. If you wanted to lane gank with either Udyr or with Volibear, which is very possible in these lanes, you wouldn't see it coming. The extra thing that Candy Panda has, though, is he can use that W. He can reveal the nearby area and keep himself safe. It'll be much harder for MYM to gank that bottom lane.
So this mid lane, we did see some action early on as Hercubot flashed in for the stun on Charu, didn't quite get the kill. Looking down the items right now, Tier plus double Doran's Ring being built up for Charu, and on the other side the Chalice for Ocelot with a Doran's Ring of his own.
It's interesting to me that Charu actually did go for Tier here. I'm guessing that he wants the shield from the Archangels to help withstand burst from Ocelot, because he doesn't really need that much mana to succeed as this champion, but going for a lot of ability power for that build, I guess.
And there's Makler and Candy Panda once again facing off. The ball actually will grab Nif in there, but I don't think Makler expected that onto the land. He'd already started to back away and popped a couple of pots to get himself back up to safety as Kevin and Kubon pretty much fluffing all of their skill shots right there. It's kind of a weird scenario. Kubon just spotting Hercubot coming up there as well, not quite able to get in. If we compare the impact of this Udyr to someone like Diamond Prox, who's probably been the most outstanding Udyr player we've had in Europe in recent times, he's not quite had that scary bear noise Udyr that comes out of the brush, and as soon as you hear that noise, you know you're in trouble.
Yeah, he's not managed to find the openings here, and I guess in some sense it's a little bit hard for him to gank these lanes. You saw the good attempt there in the mid lane, backed by Ocelot. The stun came out from Xerath, and it worked almost really, really well, right? There was 50 health basically left on Charu. They nearly got the kill picked up. It was a nice attempt, but when you try to gank like a Lysandra or Nami Vayne, and Vayne can just condemn you back all the time. It's so hard for Hercubot to get in here. It'll help him control the jungle. He'll be able to counter gank successfully, but in terms of forcing engages, he doesn't have a lot of openings.
Look overall down the CS here as well. The only real difference is in this top lane. 10 CS is the difference at the moment in favor of Kevin, who, as we said, forced Kubon out of lane somewhat earlier on. He's got that Doran's Blade plus a Ruby Crystal, Boots of Speed, and a Rejuve Bead, so he's kind of got a little bit of everything at this point.
He does. He's going to go for the early Haunting Guise for some extra damage output with his ultimate and his general burst combo being a little bit stronger. But what you're seeing a lot of that is what happens when you open with a Doran's Blade early on Kennen. You just have more auto attack damage. It's easier to last hit things with basic attacks, and as he keeps pushing onto Kubon, Kubon has to rely more on ability cooldowns to last hit stuff.
So we see here that Makata actually going in for the Elixir at this stage again. Talk us a little bit through that one, Freak.
It tells me that they're really looking for something very soon. It's a big burst of durability and damage, and he can use that successfully. He has pretty good auto attacks. He gets free attack speed from his W. It's surprising if they don't go for like an early dragon. It's just sort of strange to see it, because he could get closer to the Spirit of the Ancient Golem. I just don't see it very much.
Well, we'll see if that does have an impact, as we are going to see the Lantern Gang coming in. The box is down. Libby gets a good bubble off. The tidal wave comes out here, but they're chasing in. But there's the shockwave coming down from Charu. He's teleported down there as Makler goes in. There's the flash. First blood coming down for Meet Your Makers. And in this top lane, Kevin here and Kubon going head to head. No kill out of that one, but our first blood coming in, and there is the danger of that teleport once again of Charu.
And that bubble from Libic was so freaking good when he he saw the engage come in, he knows that, oh, well, when Thresh comes in, with the Lantern, Udyr will be directly on top of him, gets pretty much everybody in the Aqua Prison, and that gave them enough time for the teleport to come in, everything to happen. Such amazing play right there, and Candy Panda now getting a little bit hurt.
Yeah, we saw actually Makler being locked up there with the hook for a while, but didn't actually really do anything from him. Didn't follow through to get that flay and knock him backwards in the end. And that will be nothing happening there. You can see that Charu, with that, has actually started to build up a little bit of a CS lead despite being away from that lane. And he's just come up, picked himself up the golems, the Wraiths as well, and he's going to be getting back into the swing of things here in just a second. Actually looks like he wants to have the wolves away as well while he's at it. This is how Charu is building this minion kill lead. Then he has so much mana to spare. You know, I take it back wondering, wow, he doesn't really need that much mana, but Doran's Ring plus tier gives him essentially infinite mana. And here comes the jump on. They fling Kevin back. He's not escaping this one. Makata picks up that kill, and he didn't even need the elixir for it.
Wow, amazing, and that gives him control over the turret. They're not going to go to actually take it down right here, so Hercubot will get the farm pick back up. And that was an amazingly well done gank right there. And we talked about how you can easily gank, basically follow-up gank as Volibear for these lanes because there's so much crowd control to set the Volibear up. Unfortunately for them, the kill is in top lanes. They don't get to take Dragon off of it unless he recalls and goes down, but that's not what Kuban's doing.
No, mid lane was just pushed up there as well. As we said, Charu starting to build that nice lead up as see Makler here. Is he going to get pressured? The hook actually missing there. He tumbles out of the way of it, but Makler going to take some damage now as the Aqua Prison comes down. Doesn't quite catch Candy Panda, and it looks like SK might commit. No, just trying to force Meteor Makers out here once again.
And right there, that is the trade power of Quinn. You can see that she was not harassed there. Got to just put damage onto his opponent. And I want to give you guys the update on ability order. He's maxing Q, which is the blind, and then the E second, which is Vault on Quinn. So for what it's worth, it's going Blade of the Ruin King, max Q, max E, 1 points W.
Right now we see SK starting to move up towards Dragon. The problem that they have is that Makata is on that side of the jungle right now. They've got vision of the Dragon itself, and they've seen them running up the river for this one. So this is going to be a 3-man Dragon attempt. We can see that Ocelot is starting to come around the bottom. Charu doesn't have teleport available for this, and SK being rightly cautious about this one.
I'm a little surprised they were so scared because Charu was not there, and although they couldn't know this, Hercubot's smite was up while Makata's wasn't, which is another lead they would have. There's almost no way to steal the Dragon away at that point, but with enough Fog of War, they're not knowing how close Charu was to the battle. They didn't want to risk it. SK feeling more confident in their late game potential of saying, yeah, we have a 1,000 gold deficit, but we'll turn it around, don't worry about it.
MYM just put a pink ward of their own down there on that Dragon, just wanting to make sure that they, even if they can't fight for it right now or don't want to fight for it right now, that they at least have vision so that SK don't get that sneaky one in, which would bring the gold back to bang even at this point if they manage to sneak that one out. Here's Makata just trying to get in towards that middle lane as again Makler and Candy Panda exchanging a little bit of damage. But kind of surprised that there's only that one kill coming in this bottom lane, because we have seen, you know, a ridiculous amount of damage being exchanged between the two. That was an interesting scenario as Makata puts the ward on the other side as to where Hercubot was actually recalling from. Didn't see him.
The blue buff will be coming up in the near future for these guys, though. So it's one thing that Meteor Maker says, look, it's something we probably want to think about contesting. Orianna is winning this lane. She's pushing incredibly well, holding Ocelot back towards his own turret. Also recalls in time to have items in time for that blue buff respawn and be ready to fight for it with an item advantage. But, you know, it gives a lot of pressure away on this mid lane. It allows MYM to put some stuff down there and even get some harass on a Hercubot.
Yeah, two bears going at it there in that mid lane. Let's see who gets the better time of that one as Makata continues to make his presence felt around that blue buff, and it is of course there for the taking now. So let's see if Meteor Makers can actually steal this one away. Hercubot's on the other side of the map doing the red buff right now, so this is going to be a successful steal from MYM.
And look at the rest of the team moving over. The bottom lane shows up as well to help cut off Nif and Candy Panda to make sure they can't get in and stab Makata in the back. Amazingly well coordinated team play by MYM. The first 50 minutes have always been good for them, and you see it from moves like that saying, hey, I'm stealing blue, bottom lane show up too.
So Is Nif going to be able to land one of those killer hooks? And Jason made a good point in the amateur game earlier on, where he said, you know, that just one hook, you can miss 5 or 6 in a row, but it only takes one good hook to come in to really separate you in that bottom lane. And you can see the CS is not quite a 10 difference. Only that single assist coming down onto Vayne, obviously from that teleport kill a little bit earlier on that Meet Your Makers pulled out. But this game right now, 800 gold is all that separates them, and that Dragon is pretty much the thing that could decide, you know, if Meet Your Makers can jump to that bigger lead or if SK can bring it right back level.
And right now there are no wards in the inventory for Meet Your Maker. So that pink ward that went down for Hercubot, this ward right here from Ocelot that can spot Charu coming from mid down the map. The bottom lane ward of the river just timed out, but again, there's no vision of Hercubot. And the thing is, they have to just blind face check it if they're going to go for this.
Well, Hercubot has started things off there, and he's feeling a little bit worried about that one. He's wondering, can I risk it? Are they going to spot me as they come down? And actually, Meet Your Makers, you know, they probably weren't even aware that Hercubot was quite on that one. Now they've pinged in towards the Tribush. They know that that Lantern gank has happened against them before, and that SK would, or the MYM, sorry, would possibly go for that one in the end of the SK would go for that one. What am I talking about here? I'm getting a little bit confused. But, you know, better safe than sorry from that one. Not pushing up too aggressively, not knowing exactly where everyone is.
And the real test for who really wants Dragon is which top laner actually leaves his lane first. Typically, these guys do tend to farm up for a while, but Kevin, he's now got his rank 2 ultimate. He's level 12. If he shows up for a team fight, he will have very large impact here. Makler getting chunked down.
Going in there, we see the box put down from Nip, not in the right place as Makata comes around. The focus comes down towards Candy Panda. Has to use his barrier, but he's a dead man. Makata picks up that kill, and that will leave him in a great position at 2-0-0. Meet Your Makers again showing, now Makata, he's done so well to sneakily get into that top lane and the bottom lane here. 2 consecutive kills for him.
He hasn't ganked all that often, but when he does, it's definitely worked right here. And that's one of the powers you get when you push that lane so hard over and over again. You deny wards into the brush, you keep them dark, you keep them in the dark, you keep them blind, and then you get to show up for that gank. Finally, you just layer all your crowd controls, get the flip back in, you get the kill out of it.
So, right now, SK hanging around. They're the ones with the pink ward on the Dragon right now. That was interesting. Ocelot actually missing both of them as he fires long range through into the brush. But either way, it's going to allow them complete control of this Dragon. With Meet Your Makers recalling from this, this will bring SK to within about 300 gold the difference.
It's a very surprising turn of events here because Meet Your Makers did get the successful gank, and their health bars were decent. After that engagement, they just chose not to really pick up some kind of major neutral objective after that battle. So SK honestly gets the better of that trade. They lost a kill, picked up a Dragon. They put the gold lead within 500 right here. They didn't even have to send Kevin down to pick that one up. So he's still able to farm. You're seeing Kevin's build, the Haunting guys again early on there for the early damage output, going towards the Abyssal Scepter because he's facing a lot of magic damage in the enemy team. But the fact that he won't have Zhonya's for a long time could be very scary. The possibility of one-shotting Kevin in a team fight is here for Meet Your Makers.
So, where are we going to see this next action coming down? Possibly here at the top. A wise ward, though, from Kevin, you know. He's been tricked by that once. It's not going to happen to him again. That ward in the first brush reveals that Makata has sneaking into that bush, but he won't be able to get anything.
And you know what's interesting about a ward like that is you can check if there are wards in a brush by standing still and seeing if your character auto-acquires minions. If you hit minions, it means you're standing on top of a ward and they know. By putting it in the other brush, they can't make that sort of check. They might not know they're getting spotted, but Hercubot, it's going to be rough for him.
Yeah, he's probably not going to survive this one. Flashes away, but there is Charu. And just getting caught out in the wrong place at the wrong time. And no, that's the big tanky bear there. And Charu's beasted him down. Rabadon's death cap already finished for Charu. And that's a scary sign, actually, for SK Gaming here.
It's a very interesting build. We don't see rush Rabadons all that often from Orianna, but he neglected cooldown reduction, got enough mana regen to farm forever and take wolves over and over again, as you're seeing again here, and say, I'll rush a death cap. I'm going to be another carry for the team. I'm going to help bring it home in late game because I'll do so much damage in Orianna, and Hercubot was clearly not ready for that.
And we see again that bottom lane pressure being forced on by Makler and Libic, and you know, Vayne, we always talk about it. This early game is where you've really got to stop her, to hold her in a track, so that when it comes to the late game, you're basically holding her as long as possible away from that ridiculously strong carry that she is. But Head in CS got 2 assists right now, got that Blade of the Ruin King in there as well, and this is going to be dangerous for SK Gaming, as long as it goes on. And Charu, as you mentioned as well, he's set himself up already towards that late game.
And this is interesting because SK, unless they're ahead, they don't have the tools to deal with a big Vayne. You look at what Udyr tries to do. He has to get through the enemy team. All these AoEs, these slows, the knockback. Both Nami and Vayne are pretty good anti-melee with the haste and the slows and all the crowd controls here, but look at the bottom lane. I don't think they're going to get this.
Lantern Gang coming in there. Hercubot trying to get over to Libic. Well, look at this. We are going to see them going down. Teleport coming in from Charu as well. Nif is going to go down. Charu picked up that kill. They're not done just yet, though. Makler going in. Got slowed down by the box after using the active on the Blade of the Ruin King. But Meet Your Makers will once again be happy with that. And it's almost an instant replay of what happened earlier on. The Lantern Gang bringing in the Udyr. And then all of a sudden, Charu's there.
The turnaround power from Meet Your Maker is so incredibly good. When you put Tidecaller's Blessing, that slow on attack onto Vayne, she can chase you down. She's faster than you. She can tumble. You don't get to go anywhere. The teleport from Charu, he's actually only used it to counter gank, not to make openings. And when they pick these late game scaling lanes like Vayne and say, you have to gank me to hold me down, by the way, I'm going to show up to counter gank you, it limits so many of SK's options. It's incredibly smart here by Meet Your Makers, and that seems to be why they're so happy to sit there and farm and make less moves and say, okay, Makata, make ganks happen once in a while when we know they're in Fog of War, don't waste your time otherwise. When they come to us, Charu, you're on cleanup duty.
So we talked about the Rebadon's death cap early on for Orianna, got a second needlessly large rod in there, so going really power heavy, obviously looking like they'll probably go towards that Sonya's Hourglass next year, so we'll see. That's obviously going to give him more damage, plus that more survivability as well, which is dangerous thought for SK. You can see that middle outer turret very, very low here as well, and losing that would be the signal of the floodgates here for Meet Your Makers. We know that they're a team that wants that outer turret in the mid lane goes down. They love to spread wards everywhere on the map.
And they've just picked up both their buffs as well. Charu has a fresh blue buff, Makler has a fresh red buff. I gotta commend Charu on actually taking that turret so low without a lot of jungle invasion. Charu's been the one teleporting out of his lane, and he's the one winning on turret damage, which is incredibly impressive by this team. They're winning not quite in minion kills in the top lane. It's like -6, but he's got the turret kill. He got the gank coming in from Akatsa, and that one happened. And it creates such a strain on SK Gaming where nothing that they're trying to do right now is working until we get to the point where Ocelot gets to siege everyone out, go hit W and hit people from 2,000 range away. Once that kicks in for SK, that's their big hope.
We see that both top laners actually coming down onto this bottom side now that outer turret has gone down for SK Gaming in there, and they're going to be trying to hold desperately for as long as they can. I mean, obviously it's just a matter of time at this stage when it comes to holding on that outer turret in the mid lane, but at least prolonging it will give them that chance of holding things on there. Candy Panda, he's going to try and farm back to the level that Makler's already at. Makler himself not got any kills just yet, but he's not died, and he's picked up assists for 3 out of the 5 kills so far.
Yeah, Vayne's in a pretty happy place right now. She's got the Zeal, almost the Phantom Dancer done, the Blade of the Ruin King and the Berserker's Greaves are there, so she's got team fight power. Like, whatever, I mean, gold is nice and all, but she's got enough damage to really contribute to a fight. The Ruin King as well, just so useful when dealing with champions like Kennen and Udyr who want to dive on top of you, so Makler is set up for success 100%. He's probably going to be fine. What I want to point out, though, is actually over on Kevin's side, because he's stopped going towards the Abyssal Scepter, got the Negatron Cloak to deal with his lane. Okay, I can accept that. And then says, I really, though, do need Zhonya's for this team fight. He's still a good ways away. But with him here, they could potentially push down for this dragon.
Well, let's have a look at this one. Charu doesn't have teleport, and that's why he's already making his way south here. Of course, Candy Panda, he's still up on that top side, but the dragon is going to be taken here by SK Gaming. There's a Lantern to bring Hercubot to safety. Do Meet Your Makers want to fight here? Nif going to get caught completely out of position. He is not escaping this one. Flung around. It's Makler that does find his first kill of the game, and there's the outer turret going down in the mid lane as well.
Very interesting setup here by SK Gaming. They got the nice Lantern pull to save Hercubot bot and get him out of there. You know, you're melee, you're stuck in the Dragon Pit, yoink, you're going to be safe. It's a really well set up sort of situation, but then they kind of split ways, and Charu cut off the escape of Nif, which is an incredibly smart play to cut off one of those escape routes and catch a free kill, which gave them the turret as well.
They're not done here, Meteor Makers, you know. They're going to go through as you see the shockwave coming in. There is Kubo from the side. The tidal wave comes through. Makata right in on top of them as well. Candy Panda has to flash away. Great play out of Meteor Makers, but they're not done. Here is Ocelot damaging down onto Makla, but he's not quite got enough to finish him off.
And the high ability power Orianna shield actually blocks more than one full ultimate cast from Ocelot, and that is so important. High AP Orianna helps prevent people getting bursted out. It has armor and MR to the target you click. He's not really level 17. He's really already level 17 25 minutes in the game, so he is 1 point away from having a maxed out shield for 30 extra MR. I want to actually get the actual value of the shield right now, because he's giving a 360 point shield to any target who gets focused down by the Azereth here. So Charu's pickup here is going to work actually quite well against SK's game plan.
Really, really strong stuff, and SK yet to put a kill on the board here as well. Let's not forget that one. It's 7-0. The gold lead, you know, it's not massive at this point. 3,000 gold is all it stands at, but you know, and that's with the 3-0 on turrets as well. So it just shows you that SK, you know, they're not out of this one if they manage to control things a little bit more, get a couple of kills on the board. Of course, the dragons that they've picked up at this point really helping them stay in the game. But now could be a little bit more trouble as Candy Panda going to get caught out. Makata and Makla both coming into this top lane. Candy Panda condemned against the wall, uses the cleanse. That won't be enough to save him, but Nif comes around with the lantern to save his teammate.
And there we go. The shockwave into Ocelot. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah, Ocelot is away from this one. We saw Libit going in. Charu was just off to the backside, and that leaves Charu now unstoppable at 5-0-1. Meteor Makers are going Baron.
And they will be able to take this one pretty easily, honestly. With only 3 people, they probably have just enough tankiness and damage. They could pull Kuban down if they needed to, but they should be all right here. Makata has the passive available, so tankiness they've got.
Oh, they're trying to get in onto Kuban with this one, but well, you don't lock down Alessandra that easy. They have no idea that this Baron is being done right now. Meteor Maker's going to take that one nicely after those kills earlier on. Finally gets finished off, and that will leave them at 9-0. And look how the gold's changed. 5,000 it is now. It's a couple of thousand more than they had just half a minute ago.
Which is a lot of great plays by them. The counter gank in the top lane is set up for Baron. Charu trusting his team enough and knowing the power of whether or not they could kill Baron and saying, look, I'm going to teleport bottom lane. I'm not even going to be able to help you if they counter gank you. If they gank you at Baron, sorry, you're on your own. Just to stop Kevin's push in the bottom lane. Got himself a little bit more farm. 306 minions at 27 minutes, by the way. Huge margin. A huge minion kill lead for Charu. Said, yeah, I'm going to leave you guys alone. I'm going to get some minions. I'm going to save this turret. They're protecting every possible opening while still taking all the offensive moves.
And I said Candy Panda using the cleanse, which of course he doesn't have. He's been forced into that Quicksilver Sash here along with his play of the Ruin King, whereas you look on the other side, that Phantom Dance already done. There's a Negatron cloak in there coming out for Vayne right now. And just overall, Meteor Makers with that last little fight here have really brought things out for them as Kuban just gets knocked down a little bit by Ocelot, but they may be able to just brute force them away from this turret. And you see the Ocelot using the range of Xerath to try and stop it, but you're not going to stop a Baroned up Meteor Makers from taking that inner turret. First one of the game. Yeah,
and look at Makata's health bar. He face tanked that turret with just an Orianna shield and lost maybe 50 health at the end of the day right there. And this is sort of the reality for Meteor Makers. They've got because Charu is so far ahead, he is able to make anyone withstand Ocelot's burst. They've got a very far ahead Makler who is just nice and fed enough on Vayne. Hasn't been donated a lot of kills, but held up in his lane, got a good number of minion kills, got the assist a whole bunch, still hasn't died, of course, as no one has in the team. And so they have whatever they need. When Kuban finally does join the fights and initiate, as we saw last time on the secondary turret for SK, they've got all the makings of a very good team comp with gold in the right places. And catches like this, I don't know if it'll even mean enough.
Well, they've done a lot of damage here to Libic, but look at Kuban, he's right in there. There we see the shockwave coming across as the tidal wave will join in as well. SK very, very hurt from this one, but Meteor Maker's going to follow up. It looks like that was just a case of bullying them away from that second inner turret of the game here for MYN.
They've got enough damage out there. The long-range engagement potential from Kuban and Charu, basically, they can jump in there, do a bunch of stuff, and then get out safely because of how durable they are ultimately. And it's ironic, but that's what SK wanted to do. They wanted to go deal damage from 1,000 range away, force people off the turret without taking any kills, and gain a big advantage. But Meet Your Makers have the poke that they need to force SK away without starting a fight.
Makler just been shot down there by Ocelot, stopped him from recalling, and he just tumbles away to recall from by that Tribush. So not really a problem for him there, because he can be kind of waiting for those minions to actually come to him in that lane. I mean, hard to lock down a Quinn, certainly, but also not impossible, as we've seen before. The Condemn from Vayne, forcing him to use that Quicksilver Sash, or maybe we could even say forcing him to go into that Quicksilver Sash in the first place, is certainly a knock on how far he can go with this one, as Makata is chasing down Nif right now. We see the Flay coming out, and Makata not quite able to get in there for the fling, but they bullied them out of that blue buff area.
So this is the sort of interesting setup, because honestly Candy Panda will be a pretty good duelist. He's got the mobility tools he needs to outplay most of the champions on MYM. If Candy Panda plays it right, he'll be okay. The problem is their team is not in that same sort of setup right here. Meet Your Makers have control of the map. They've got a 7,000 gold lead. The Dragon is theirs for free because they're wearing Baron buff. They've got more kills. Like, there's a lot of reasons why this MYM team is ahead. And so it's on them to keep making the plays and keep pushing forward. And the thing is, it shouldn't even be that hard for Meet Your Makers. They've got a very good team composition and the gold to back it up.
That Void Staff now added in there as well for Charu. Those Shockwaves going to be doing a lot of damage. If he gets it in the right place, of course. That's always a key factor here with the Orianna. And we've seen many players miss these big Shockwaves that have cost them games in the past, or on the other hand, that have completely single-handedly almost won them games as well. So, SK sat up here for the defense. Will they be able to hold on to the final area of inner turret of the game? Kevin actually going to get locked up here for a while and decide not to follow on through to him. He had the Lantern down there, which takes it out of the game for a little while now.
The interesting thing, though, is that SK have very good wave clear because of the Xerath, because of the rest of their lineup, able to spam skill shots down the line. This makes it very difficult for Meet Your Makers to actually make stuff happen. You can see the Shock only hits one, it might be enough.
Only hits one. Nif going to get thrown up in the air here. Going to surely be finished off as a tidal wave will come through. That's three of them knocked up as they try and lock down Makler there with Ocelot's ultimate, but honestly, not really doing a hell of a lot to him here. He's going to throw that out here in just a second. Like you said, the wave's been cleared pretty quickly, but Ocelot without the ultimate, they may fall foul of this one and have to give up the turret. It looks like they will.
Yeah, the Lysandra right there actually forces Ocelot to continually back up. Whenever the Ice Claw comes out, he can't stay siege and kill minions. He's got to leave and walk away, or he gets stunned and just insta-burst it out. So even though he could normally wave clear, Kuban just faking his E, throwing it out there saying, if you don't leave, you'll die, gets to stop the abilities from coming out. You've got like, these mind games constantly with these wave clear situations.
And it's going to be hard to kill Kuban as well. You know, Zonya's in there along with, you know, what's a mini Zonya, I guess we can call as well, on the other side for his ultimate if he chooses to put it on himself. So now he's going to be very hard to actually lock down on that front. SK, of course, still without a single kill after 33 minutes of this game. They're trying to make sure that each lane's waves are pushed back. They certainly don't want Meet Your Makers to have that kind of free run of being able to switch between middle, top and bottom lane and really forcing SK into a move when it comes to defending these inhib turrets. Second Baron of the game will be up in less than a minute's time. That could be the next target here for Meet Your Makers.
It's a definite possibility right here. The thing is, they need to weigh two things. One, how do we efficiently win this game to give as few options for comebacks as possible? And then two, how do we make sure we don't give any openings up there? So Baron usually is pretty safe, especially against Udyr, who has to flash over the wall to go for a chance at a steal, unlike someone like maybe Jarvan, who can kind of flag toss one way, flash the other, and it's a little bit easier to deal with an Udyr just because you see him coming. But at the same side, they still don't want to risk that miraculous steal where Kennen dives into the pit and life just gets miserable. So they need to make sure they have the ward coverage to do it. Then if they know SK can't stop them, then great, free Baron, they can use the buff to push into the base.
So looks like they are going to be waiting for that Baron sitting in there on the pit. Got the timings down. They've once again secured complete control over that jungle. And there is the Baron. Spawns up and Meet Your Makers instantly onto that one. That's going to be finished off here in pretty much no time.
And look at the wards peppering just to the right-hand side of the screen. Look at the mini-map. There's a whole heck of a lot of them, making sure that they can see SK come in. And SK, though they would have the timer on Baron, realize that in total darkness, they either maybe get to stop Baron or get completely caught out face-checking a brush and losing. And so what they want to do is just say, well, we're going to try the wave clear game again. We're going to hope to get a slightly better team fight and hope something goes well.
So, Makers now pushing out that top lane with Kubon. The rest of the team, though, are in that mid lane. The question is, can they actually get through? I mean, they're going to have Makata, who's pretty damn tanky at this point. With that command protect on him, you know, they're going to run away from him anyway because he's got the ball. You know, he's that delivery system anyway, even if he runs in there. But he can tank up a good few hits of that turret as well. We see that Kubon actually got it on him right now. He's another prime target, of course, with his ultimate. And then the shockwave to follow on from that one. But Meteor Makers, I got a feeling that they're going to be very, very edgy about finishing off this game.
It's always a risk because there is burst, there is counter-engage. If Quinn is untouched, she has very high sustained damage up. It's always something to be aware of. If Ocelot gets to catch someone out, the stun lasts long enough. You can burst a couple of guys on this team potentially. The difficulty, though, is if MYM is ready for it, then they can shield it off, but there's always that chance where you just put the shield on someone, the cooldown's still down, Mockler, you know, whiffs the cleanser, still gets caught down by the skill shots. There's these openings here that they have to be aware of for SK Gaming. It looks like right now they're going to push all the waves in. You've got Charu down to the bottom lane. He's got teleport, so if something happens, he can join up to his team. You've got Mockler pushing the top side, though he's staying safe, making sure he doesn't get caught out, and the rest of the team holding the mid lane. Once this is all there, once there's pressure in too many places for SK to deal with, one of those lanes will crack.
Which one will it be first? Is Libic having a dance there in the middle?
Woo! It's got good moves.
He is
very agile.
He even gets a round of applause here. A few 8 out of 10 ratings from the crowd for those dance moves. Makler pushes out that top lane as well. Charu going to be stealing away the blue buff. I say stealing, it pretty much has belonged to Meteor Makers for quite a while now. That is not SK's buff anymore. It doesn't belong to Ocelot at this stage of the game. There's another wave pushed up. Charu's wave on that bottom side is going to be right up there on that inhib turret as well. And SK going to have to be thinking about which side they defend first here in just a little while.
It's interesting because basically SK can walk between their lanes pretty easily. A lot of them have mobility tools, a lot of them have good long range so they can kind of get there from halfway to the turret. But Meteor Makers, it's just, they can choose to go in whenever.
Oh, a hook landing here onto Kubon. He's actually used that Zhonya's very, very early from this one. Will flash away as we see the Nami tidal wave go through. Orianna now coming towards this middle lane as well. And there was a lot burnt there for not a lot of kills afterwards. There's a shockwave coming in onto Candy Panda. Half of his health, more than half of his health gone with that, but he can get back and heal and then come straight back in now.
Yeah, he burned barrier. He's got enough money for home guard boots, and if Ocelot can wait for this a little bit, they can get him back into the fight in time.
You've got to feel that Kubon could be the key man to come back into this one as Charu himself will use his Onyas. He took no damage really from that one. We can see the Ocelot hammering away there out the back of things, doing a good job of keeping that one down. And Charu's damage, you know, with command dissonance even just right now, is so high. With that Rabadon's in there with Xerath with a Void Staff added in on top with that Sonya's as well. Makata actually starts to move forward from this one. Couple of hits in onto the turret, but they can't find the opening still.
It's a 740 ability power Orianna, and all of SK's aggressive moves are telegraphed, except for Ocelot Xerath. They all have to get very much in range of Orianna if they want to do anything. And so if Charu plays it right, he can constantly zone all of SK out and make their life miserable. And because they've got the Baron buff regen, they can hold on to the siege, keep the lanes pushed, and slowly wear down that turret without a lot of openings for SK.
There's a ward over the wall, which is going to give SK decent amounts of vision here to see who splits off in towards that bottom lane, who sticks around out the middle as Kevin takes a lot of damage there and always backing off when that claw comes through as they hook in Makata. He is not the target that they want to be hooking in right now. He's not the one that they can burst down the quickest out of everyone. But then, at the same time, Kubon's Zhonya's is back. Charu's Zhonya's going to be back in here in just a second. And that's two big items to have when it comes to the fights later on as well.
It makes it so hard to kill them off because you will be able to dodge one of the abilities from Ocelot, most of the damage from Kevin, even some of the bursts you might even see from Candy Panda and co. And you even saw when they caught Kubon last time, he Zhonya's the box, flashed over the wall, burned 2 ultimates for a flash, which, I mean, yeah, the ultimates come back from cooldown sooner, but if a fight were to start after that, SK wouldn't have the tools to do battle. Charu is now far enough ahead, he can solo the dragon And you'll sort of see this happen for a while. Meteor Makers, they've got such control of the map. Unfortunately for them, they did really nothing with the Baron buff, and so they might wait for the next one, for the next stab in, but they're building a gold lead from doing this. They keep taking the buffs, the entire jungle is theirs, they're still getting the farm from the minion waves, and they could wait till they had a bunch of Guardian Angels, they could wait until Makata is so tanky, he can just dive the turret and not care. That might be what MYM waits for, but even if they're not making any major moves, they're still growing advantages.
You see that giant spell added in from Makata. Morella Nomicon picked up as well for Charu's Oriana, who is 440 CS here, 40 minutes into this game, and that's almost 100 more than that of Ocelot. He's currently 5,000 gold ahead of him in the overall picture as well. You see that now. Kevin's Kennen, you know, over that 300 mark. He's doing a great job in there as well between the AD carries. It's not a massive, certainly not 40 minutes in the game, almost nothing if you take that into consideration. With that 106, the extra control that they've had over those 2 Barons and the last few Dragons coming in here, giving them that real gold advantage. Not to mention it's 6-0 in turrets, and there's no kills on the board for SK.
Which does mean, though, that if SK does win a fight, they've got so many openings here. Baron, still a few minutes to go, not going to respawn right now if they were to get a team fight. If they won the fight, I think they could kill it just barely in time, but it'd be a little bit close. Death timers should be lagging up at this point into the game. But here comes a tricky thing. MYM, I don't think they're looking for a team fight just yet because they risk that Baron comeback. Because Baron is so close to being up, if SK wins, they get shutdown gold and Baron and turn the fight around, unless they feel super confident.
Oh, Makata ran in there, the ball was on his head, and he saw SK, he said, no, we don't want anything to do with that, back off, back off. Didn't see the shockwave come out, and actually good damage coming out here from Ocelot over the side. Libic in a lot of danger, has to flash away to safety from that one. We got 15 seconds until that Baron comes up. SK, will they try and actually contest this one?
I think they kind of have to. There's not so much pressure on the map. The wards have all timed out from MYM. I feel like they are able to come in here and try to do something about MYM. Just wave clearing minions forever is not going to help them get back into this game. They just don't feel safe enough. They haven't had time to put any wards down. Libic, with the Oracle's Elixir, had been constantly sweeping that upper jungle from SK, fully blinded them, blacked out their vision, and said, you know, though MIM has chosen to go for Baron each of those times, they just as easily could have hidden a brush and said, if you fight us, you're going to get caught out and die.
Well, here we go. Libic looking for something over the wall, and similar from SK as the hook comes out. Ocelot blasting damage through there as well, but we're kind of back to where we were just a couple of minutes ago here. Plus the fact that Meteor Makers, of course, now have that Baron buff running on them. We'll see if they can make more use of it this time around.
And the interesting thing is that the items are no longer going to keep coming in for Charu. He's got everything that he could possibly buy at this point on the champion. He's got the highest AP mix build he can go for. If he keeps taking minion kills, he's actually denying gold from his team. The AD carries can still scale up, all of SK can still scale up, but it's an interesting situation where theoretically SK now starts getting more gold than MYM, so MYM should start really thinking about closing this game out.
Well, they are going to push now onto that turret. It's at less than half HP. Still no engagement from this one, and Makata actually going to go very low. Shockwave used though, he gets 3 of them in there as a tidal wave comes across. Brilliant bubble coming out there. Double kill for Vayne. That's 3 men down for SK. Only 1 down for Meteor Makers, and now they have a chance to get themselves through and possibly win out this game.
And of course, you're seeing that they are doing an amazing job, though. The burst all came down onto Makata's Volibear, the tankiest member of the team, which gave them really free reign to counterattack the rest of the SK lineup. And you saw that right there, the CC combo, the initiation potential. When you put Shockwave onto a Nami bubble, dear God, does that hurt SK. They have no way of dodging that ability. The Shockwave, of course, is going to land when you put that on top of the slow from Lissandra. Then that crowd control lasts long enough, you can go in again.
Kubon is going to go in there. Nif actually flashing away, but he's being chased down by Makler, who's now on a rampage. Ocelot trying his best to hold them off, but that won't work out for them. And it looks like inhibitor number 2 is going to be falling here. Not going to stop Makler now that his ultimate is down, even though he's trying his best here, is Ocelot, using that range to keep out of the way. way of him. But after that, it is going to be 2 inhibitors down. Meteor Makers fall back here, and that final push may come in just before that Baron runs out. Let's have a look how much time it's got left on it. Actually, I guess it's
a minute and a half.
Oh, it's a minute and a half. So they've got time to get back, buy up what they've... most of them can't actually fit much more into what they have got there, but they'll be back here soon enough, I'd imagine, before that Baron runs out to try and bring it home.
Nakata almost has enough money for his Warmog's armor right here. He's very, very close to it. He's actually recalling at this point and is, I think, just 50 gold shy of that, so they might just wait for that item to come on through. But basically, Meteor Makers can just sit there and slow roll the top lane as the rest of their lanes really pull attention away from SK, and as the ultimates are all back available, Flash is not so much, but ultimates and the items are. Kuba can start up a fight just like last time, self-cast the ultimate, Shockwave comes off, Nami Bubble lands on top of that, and you just crowd control the entire SK team, or at least the ones that are caught out by that, for a good 2 to 3 seconds, and that, you saw the combo come together so incredibly well. The Orianna ended up being, though SK wanted them to get it, ended up being a really huge champion that broke apart SK's lineup.
Well, MIM are now pushing up towards this top lane. Charu going to be joining both Makla and Libic there. Kubon not too far behind them either. Nakata still a little bit further behind since he actually just had to come back from the base there. Just added that Warmogs in, so he's definitely tanky enough now to get right underneath those turrets without having any problems whatsoever in terms of his health. You can see there top left, Dragon's live, but honestly, probably not going to be very important anymore in this one. We're 45 minutes into the game. And Meteor Makers just looking for that final opening here. The Super Minions have already pushed both the bottom and mid lane out. And look at that, the bottom lane is actually pushed onto the Nexus Tower. So SK have to defend that here at some point, or risk losing Nexus Towers while holding onto an inhibitor tower.
MYM can freely disengage, but they go in for some damage on Nip. And look at that. They know that minions will kill the base for them. So they're like, all right, look, leave and deal with this now, or we get control of your Nexus for free. They're not even trying to dive the turret, but now they have the numbers advantage, they can go.
Now they go in there, and well, they're on towards the turret from this one. Ocelot going to be charging up. Good blast onto 3 of them. Meteor Makers back off once again, wait for the next wave. Look at the Nexus turret, so they're being hammered away here by those Super Minions. They might be able to save that one on the bottom side, but it's going to be close either way as Kevin takes another chunk of damage. There is Nif held up inside one of the bubbles as Mikata gets a blast from Ocelot's ultimate, but Nif going very low. Zonya's used here by Kuban. Kevin gets destroyed before he can really do anything. Candy Panda dives into the fight. He will try and escape from this, but they're all so very low. Makla was chasing in. They're going to take inhibitor number 3. The Nexus turrets must be going very low with this one as well. Could see that one is in fact already down here. The second one is on less than half HP. And Meteor Makers right here, right now, are going to finish off the Nexus itself and take down SK Gaming, losing 0 towers and only 1 death throughout a 50-minute game.